guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another First Division review show. We're going to take a look at the games on Friday as well at the end. We give our predictions as well. But Keith, thanks for coming on.
No problem. How are you, Keith, again?
I'm okay. I'm getting better. I'm getting there. We'll get there, Keith.
You sound okay.
I always sound okay for some reason. So, Keith, we'll start off at Athlone, where they were beaten 3-2 at home to Cove, and we both predicted Cove to win this match, but I don't think we predicted the drama. By the way, the highlights package that Athlone sent out was fantastic. I think it was a good 12, 13 minutes of actual highlights, and there were chances galore in this game. We saw, I suppose, every real incident you could see in the game. I suppose for a start, Whitmarsh gave Cove the lead after 14 minutes. It was a long ball over the top that Athlone couldn't deal with, and he finished it brilliantly. Alua seemed to cause a lot of problems in the backline, in Cove's backline. He scored right in half time to equalise. And then the drama came. I suppose we'll start off with Luke. There's a lot in this. We'll start off with Luke Desmond's red card. And to be honest, I don't think the highlights picked up what exactly happened. We've seen a bit of a confrontation and he picked up a red card. So we don't really know what happened there. So Cove would have been disappointed with that in 23 minutes because they were ahead at the time. And obviously Athlone got back into the game. But on to the second half. And Athlone seemed to pretty much dominate when it came to opportunities in the second half. But it was 1-1 when Glenn McCauley got sent off in 68 minutes. And we did see this. And unfortunately, I think McCauley just loses his head. It's not the first time he's done it. So I think Mark Russell would be absolutely fuming with him here. He was involved in an incident last season where he got sent off, something similar. And to be fair, he's having a decent enough game, it seems. And Athlone were on top at the time. So Russell would have been fuming. That said, Athlone continued to press. And Carton Lubazuna, who literally signed, I think, on Thursday, or maybe even Friday morning officially from Galway. Yeah. He was with Galway, but obviously came in a free. He made it 2-1. And you're thinking at that stage, that's surely it, because Athlone looked like they pretty much dominated the second half. But Cove weren't to be denied. They didn't give up. Daniel O'Connell equalised on 89 minutes after what was essentially just a long punt up the field. And Athlone, again, struggled to deal with it. They'll be disappointed with that. And then Whitmarsh gets the winner in his second game in 90 minutes. Absolute scenes. And Athlone will wonder how they lost this game, for honest. Cove will be absolutely delighted with the effort and the work rate that they put in. And they go back down to Cove with 3 points. A lot in that.
Yeah. As you say, and we mentioned it on Friday, or when we were doing the preview show, Cove really were highlighting this game for a victory, you know, and we both tipped them to win. It was a good win. As you say, there was a lot in the game. I mean, 2 of Cove's goals are essentially long punts up the pitch. First one for Whitmarsh, and then their second goal as well, and then obviously their third goal, there was a bit of a mix-up in the Athlone defence, and Whitmarsh, I think it was the 93rd, 94th minute, put the ball in the net, and absolutely delighted. As you mentioned, McCauley, I thought everything went through McCauley first half for Athlone. He seemed to be the go-to person, and then stupidly kicked it. I'm not sure if he kicked him in the face or something. It was something when he was on the ground.
He's kicked out,
but absolutely
in a petulant manner anyway, that's for sure.
Ridiculous. They were cruising through the game. It was 1-1 at that time, and they were on top, and they were creating chances. And to do that, and as you said, Martin Russell must be absolutely kicking himself, because Athlone probably highlighted that game for a result as well. So it's not good. And just going back to the first half, the Desmond's one, I think he kicked out as well. And there was a little bit of a delay in the midfield, and it was a small kick to the
I suppose if that's the case, I suppose the same kind of goes for him, but it was a more difficult thing to see, wasn't it, from our point of view? I wonder if anyone was at the game could actually tell us in the comments what they think happened. But with McCauley, you could see it clearly the way the camera picked it up. So it's difficult to talk about the Desmond one too well, isn't it?
Yeah. I actually had to rewind the video to see exactly what happened. But there was definitely a small kick there. Whether it warranted a red card, I'm not sure. It was kind of just handbag stuff, you know. But I know Kenny was given a yellow in the same incident. So, but you know, Cove go on. We mentioned last week about Cove scoring goals, and they got 3 this week. So, they can only be happy with that.
Yeah, I think Whitmarsh is the man, though, isn't he? I was very surprised that I don't know if Cork let him go or what happened there, but he was good at Cork last season as well. So Cork's loss is certainly Cove's gain, and Athlone now are bottom of the table after 3 games at no points, and the way they lost that will bring down confidence even more, won't it?
Yeah, for sure. And again, we mentioned the other night, we don't know a lot about the players. I thought Lulu he threatened quite a lot for Athlone, and if they can get him on the ball, Macaulay kind of spraying balls here and there across the park. I know Derek Daly played left fullback. It's not really his position to play. He played when he was at Bray, he was more of a left winger. Athlone will be the basement side this season. Looks like it. After a couple of games, it's a stark contrast to last season when they kicked off the season with 4 wins. But a lot of teams will be targeting Athlone for 3 points for sure.
Yeah, great win for Cove, though. We'll move on to Longford and Bray. You were obviously at this one. Sam Bird gave Longford the lead after 9 minutes. Curtis Byrne and Fox made it 2-1 right before half-time for Longford. And I suppose I watched the highlights. You were at the game, so it'll be interesting to see the difference in, I suppose, opinions and that. But it looked like to me, generally, that Longford would be kicking themselves a little bit to have lost this match. I think in the first opening 20 minutes-ish, they were all over Bray, and Bray seemed to get C, and all boy Graydon seemed to be causing an awful lot of issues. But Bray generally seemed to take their chances in the game. I think Verdon, it might have been Verdon, it was Verdon, yeah, and Craven missed great chances in the first half for Longford to score. But from a Bray point of view, they were 1 down in the game away to Longford. They've been struggling to battle back and win 2-1. They must be absolutely delighted with that.
Yeah, looking back on it and looking back in the highlights, obviously you see different things that have happened in the game that you didn't see when you're at the game. Yeah, you're right. Longford dominated the first 20 quarter of the game. Verdon, Craven, Graydon hit the bar from a cross-come shot. So they should have been a couple of goals up. Kind of Bray's defence were at 6s and 7s a little bit, and they were struggling. I know Dean Zamber started right fullback.
I was going to say, yeah, Dean Zamber up against Graydon is a bit, isn't it?
We said it. We highlighted it before the game kicked off. We said, Jesus, if Graydon's on his game, with his pace and his skills, he could give Dean a bit of a nightmare of a night. But and he did. Let's be honest. The first 20, as I said, 20-25 minutes. Graydon was down that left side, and he was crossing balls in. He was taking on players, and the only problem with Ryan is his final ball, and it's been like that throughout his career. His final ball is not the best. He might cross 10 times and hit his player twice.
If he could sort it out, he'd be a division player, I think, wouldn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah. He's a fine player in his day, and he did well for us last season for the games he played. He was sent off a couple of times, but no, Ryan Graydon was fantastic, and I thought Robinson in the centre of the park for Longford, absolutely fine game he had, both first and second half. But looking at Bray's goals, Longford probably could have done better in the defence. First goal from Curtis Byrne, the ball was played over the top, and Manley got through. Manley might be disappointed that he didn't score, but Dennison parried the ball out, and Curtis then put the ball into net, 1-1, and then just before half time, again another defensive error from Longford. Paul Fox got through on the left hand side, and he took a shot, hit a defender mishit it, and then Fox came back into the box and put the ball into net off the crossbar, 2-1. Later on the game, Keith, it was kind of backs to the wall stuff for Bray. Longford were threatening, but ultimately Bray came away, and they'll be delighted. It was a dogged result. 2-1, you'll take it after losing your first 3 games.
Absolutely. As for Longford, they'll be disappointed. 2 home games, 1 point. You know what I mean? Again, it's difficult for them, as I said, because it's stop-start. Very much so stop-start for them. But they did perform quite well in terms of creating the chances in the game, so they can't really be disappointed with that. The crowd does seem quite small, Keith. Is that right?
Yeah, it's funny. We got to the game about we were there about 7:20, and there was no one in the ground, and we said, it can only get better, but it actually didn't. And you could count the amount of people that were at the game, which is worrying for Longford. I mean, it's only game. And you would have thought, I know, people are giving out that, it's Monday night, blah, blah, blah. But, like, I mean, it's your second home game of the season. It's not your second last home game of the season. So
they didn't play Friday either, so you would have thought they'd have a decent crowd anyway.
True enough. But Section O, they had the usual people there, and there was a handful in the home stand. And look, I don't know how many season ticket holders they have, but if the players are looking at that and they're seeing 150 people at a home game, they're like, what's going on here? And I just touch on Bray, Keith. Our first 3 games, we were quite long ball merchants. But Monday night we seemed to get the ball on the deck quite a lot, which worked. And you get the ball on the deck, you create chances, and you keep more possession, which can only bode well for you. As well, Conor Clifford went off injured in the first half, which looked like a bad injury at the time. Obviously, Conor's going to be one of our better players this season, but apparently it turns out it's a muscle injury that and not a knee injury, which is only good for Bray. He'll only be out for a couple of weeks, hopefully.
Right, good win for Bray there. I always say Terryland Park. I know it's named DC Park, but I'm still stuck with Terryland in my head. Galway United 2, Treaty 1. I think a lot of Galway fans are as well. Waterford with the goals, Walsh again, and then the Curran for Treaty pulling one back. Stephen Walsh, what's up with him? He's scoring goals. I mean, the goal. I did see the goal he scored. He showed great composure and then played it into the top corner. And he seems to be playing a more attacking role this season. And he seems to be enjoying himself there, doesn't he? A lethal weapon at the moment for Galway.
Absolutely. It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? I'm not sure if he played centre forward in his youth or whatever, but I mean, he's as good at left back as he is playing up top, and that's his third goal in a row, 3 weeks in a row he scored. So, it looked like in the build-up there was a bit of a foul, and I know Treaty players weren't happy, and it was a weird one. One of the Treaty players seemed to push the referee, giving out, and it's like, you want to be lucky there, pal. You might be sent off, but I was speaking to a Treaty fan, Jason Shanahan, and he said, and the Curran was good, and the Curran was good for Treaty, and Stephen Walsh he said he hates Stephen Walsh, but wouldn't you after him scoring a goal against you? But look, Wilson Muweru was obviously back in the side for Galway, and he scored in the opening minutes. I thought it was a bit harsh on Adiemo after his good performance against Bray, but Galway are going as we expected. They're top of the league now. They're joint top of the league, I should say, and they have a game in hand. So
I think what's interesting with Galway is you say they're top of the league at the moment and they have a game in hand, but they've also played Cork and Waterford and beaten Cork and drawn against Waterford. So that's a good sign for them, isn't it? Even early days, like
that does bode well for them, absolutely. Galway, I mentioned it last week. They'll be strong and they're a big side, like so. And they'll get games done. Like they'll take their 1-0s, they'll take their 2-1s. They don't care how they get to 3 points. They'll take the results. Like down in Cork, they were down to 10 men. I didn't see that game, but it was obviously backs against the wall again for them, and they got the results. So Don Caulfield will be happy.
Yeah, we'll get to Cork in a minute, but it just shows how good a result that was in Cork when they went down and got the 3 points. As for Treaty and the Curran, as you said, scoring against his former club, good to see him back in the league, actually. He scored a few goals this season, but 3 games, 4 points from Treaty. Content enough, do you think, with that, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Again, a little stop-start for them as well, with a couple of postponements at home at Marcusfield, isn't it?
Yeah, and I believe their game this week is in doubt as well against Cork City, I think it is. So I don't understand why they can't switch the game to Cork and just play the game later on the season in the Marcusfield. Like it's a no-brainer, really. Like but
especially fans especially Keith, when you know from maybe 4 or 5 days that this is a possibility, and I'd personally rather get the game played. I mean, it doesn't matter, you're just flinging over the fixtures a bit. It's unlikely in June if it has to be called off, you know what I mean, if it's play in Marcusfield. So
because at the end of the day, Keith, you're going to have games in hand, and a lot of these teams are part-time, and it's hard enough in professional leagues like the Premier League or Serie A, play a couple of games on the trot, but when you're playing and players are working and stuff like that, and you're trying to fit games in here and there, it's a tough one. And I definitely, if I was Treaty, I'd say, listen, Cork, can we switch the game? Can we play it there? And just later on in the season. Going back to what you said, Treaty, 4 points. I think you'd be content with that. It's Galway, Cork, and Waterford have 10. You're not going to be up there with them. So they're touching playoffs. So I'll be happy with that for a Treaty fan.
Right, I suppose the biggest game of the weekend was Cork City and Waterford. It's Cork 2, Waterford 0. Keishan 15, Murphy 18. Although, was it Murphy? Did Murphy get the final touch? I'm not so sure. Maybe he did. I mean, Cork fans can let me know, but it doesn't matter, does it really? The point is they won 2-0. And I suppose some of the things we highlighted came up in this game. I mean, we were saying before the game that we feel that Cork are more solid and better defensively than Waterford. And I think that it kind of proved to be the case in the game, because Waterford, that first half, especially Waterford, were all over the place at the back. I mean, the first goal was an error from Eddie Nolan. Heavy touch, Keating goes in, finishes it well, to be fair. He was very composed. And the second goal, I think Joshua gets beaten by Keishan on the wing, and he's got to use his body there. He's a big lad. He's got to use his body and get across him or give him some form of a nudge. Just lets him go by, and obviously Keishan gets to go cross into the box, and Cork do make it 2-0. We'll give it to Murphy anyway. But Cork fully deserved the win. It wasn't until late in the game that Waterford pressed a little bit. Harrington made one brilliant save, another good save as well. But I was just thinking they've conceded 7 goals for the first 5 games. Excellent going forward, very good midfield as well. But defensively, I think they're struggling. They obviously lost Ferguson and Evans, and Killian Campbell has gone through injury as well. He would have been the player to come in, I think, and maybe help steady that. But they've lost him through injury as well. So when Ian Morris was in charge of Shelburne last year, you know yourself, they were based on a defensive base, weren't they? Basically, the defense was very tight, etc. His 2 options there at Waterford: play a bit more defensively, but kind of, diluting the attack, which he has, which is a very, very good attack, or just keep going as they are and hope that things improve defensively. But top win for Cork. And after this, I have to say, I think they're serious contenders. 1 goal conceded in 5 matches. I think they're serious contenders. And wouldn't it be great to see Cork, Galway and Waterford, 3 teams, really go for it?
Yeah, there looks like to be a tight race in both divisions, to be honest with you, Keith. Look, I thought from the highlights package I've seen, I thought Rory Keating gave Waterford the runaround, particularly in the first half. I know Eddie Nolan, it was a bit of a mistake for the first goal, and you can't vouch for them. These things happen, but an experienced player like Nolan, poor touch, and then obviously Keating got in. Brian Murphy can probably feel a bit unlucky that he didn't get a better hand on the ball. I know it was kind of went by him, but and then the second goal, and you hit the nail on the head. Man, should be nudging him over the byline or the touch line, and if he does that, it's either a free kick or throw in, So and still 1-0. So I think looking at the highlights as well, Keith, I thought it was an OG originally, but it looks like Power kicked the ball off Murphy and it went into the goal. So, and as you said, doesn't matter how the goals go in. You're 2-0 up at half time.
I'm sure Darragh Power wouldn't like to take the OG anyway.
Absolutely, who would? But that's a massive win for Cork, and I thought this would be more geared towards a draw. Just a highlight as well, Keith. Fantastic crowd, particularly from Waterford, come down. Their section was full, so fair play to the fans for travelling on a Monday evening. And I think it was 2,500 in Turner's Cross again. That'll help Cork in the season. Colin Healy was back in the dugout as well, which only helped Cork as well. So, defensively, they didn't look like they would concede, which is fantastic for Cork. And I know their fans will be happy. And again, they have the experience here in Kevin O'Connor and Gilchrist, so it's good.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for teams being built on defensive foundations. Honestly, I think most teams end up winning competitions, leagues. Most teams end up having a sound foundation defensively. So that's one reason I think Waterford would be worried for, in my opinion. As I said, 7 goals this season, but looking shaky anyway, apart from that at the back. And look, it's something they're going to have to improve on. Morris may have to change something tactically, as I said. But then if he does that, he probably has to dilute the attacking threat a little bit. But as you know, throughout a season, even with good attacks, you're not going to score 2 or 3 goals every match. And this is the problem, and this is the thing. Throughout a league season, when you grind out results usually means pretty much a 1-0 win. You hang on a little bit, you don't concede, you don't play well, so you can nick a goal and win a game. You don't grind out a result 3-2, like, really. Do you know what I mean?
See, there's the difference between Galway and Waterford. Galway would grind out results. I don't see Waterford with the players they have that they'd be able to grind out a result if a game is in a kick and touch and it's 0-0 and where there doesn't seem to be the bite that Galway have in the midfield. So just to highlight Cork as well, their midfield, young lads in there, and they have the energy. They'll get around the park. So
they're good footballers.
I think absolutely good footballers, fantastic footballers. Your Bulger will get around. He's a funny old player. With the socks tucked into his shin guards and stuff. A Wicklow man, by the way.
Didn't know that actually.
Yeah, Aaron. Yeah.
No, he's Wicklow.
But Colin Healy will be absolutely delighted. 10 points from 4 games, and things can only get better for Waterford, I suppose. What is it they've conceded? 7 goals, is it?
7 goals, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's not good. If you're going to be up around top of the league, you can't be thinking that you're going to win every game 3-2, 4-3, 5-4. You need to start grinding out these games, as I said.
Absolutely. We'll look ahead to Friday's games. We will start with Treaty and Cork. Hopefully it does go ahead. But how do you see that one? That's actually, I was looking at it going, why is that 3 o'clock on Friday? But I forgot it was a bank holiday for Paddy's weekend. And that was a bit weird. Interesting though, all the other games are at 7:45. So, but anyway, Treaty Cork. How do you see that one?
I think Cork obviously will be favourites. Again, they've started the season so well. Treaty, that pitch down there is a wide pitch. So Cork seem to be a footballing side, and they sprayed the ball around quite well when they were in the Carroll a few weeks ago. So the big pitch will only help them. But Treaty, Maxfield's tough place to go. The pitch is looking a bit rough at the moment. So I think Cork will win without Treaty scoring. And Conley will be taking 1-0.
I'm going for a draw myself. I think if it goes ahead, I think Treaty might nick a 1-1 draw. Athlone and Galway. I always consider this weirdly as a bit of a derby match. It's a weird one, but I don't know why. I don't know why. It's really weird because obviously Athlone and Galway are a bit away from each other. But anyway, there you go. Athlone and Galway. Hard to see Athlone get anything out of this game, particularly the way they lost the game against Cove.
No, don't think so. I think they're a poor side. Even though they have individual talent, they don't seem to be collectively.
Of course, Glenn McCauley
as well as they like
suspended as well, so that's not going to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can have individual talent, but yourself, you need to be collectively as a team and playing well. And I think Galway, again, it's on the Astro, so we'll Galway be happy with 1-0 win. But look, it looks like Athlone will concede goals, and if Stephen Walsh and Will Wareau can get down the channels, I think Galway will win 2 or 3-0 here.
Yeah, I think Athlone looked very naive defensively against Cove as well, and to continue that against Galway, which is hard to see. It's difficult to see Galway not picking them off. Yeah, 2-0 or something for Galway for me. Cove Ramblers and Bray. First of all, you heading down?
Can't, unfortunately. I'd love to, but I love the trip to Cove. It's
especially if the weather's
just outside Cork City.
Yeah,
absolutely. But now working, so I'll be watching LOI TV. So this game,
difficult trip, I think, for Bray, isn't it? Not easy.
Yeah, Cove's a tough old place to go. It's a tight little ground. The pitch from time to time doesn't be. And I mentioned the pitch. Pitch is the same for both sides. So can have no complaint. Bray need to kick on. Good result in Longford, even though it was backs against the wall. So to go down to Cove, I think they'd be happy with a 1-0 win again. You know, you take your 3 points all the time. I mentioned all take 3 points. Doesn't matter how you get. If you get your 3 points, it kicks you up the league. So Cove be a tough one. After, I mean, they're coming off the back of a result as well. So, and I think they need to watch Whitmarsh. You know, I think you mentioned him last week. He was a bit of a Carlos Tevez type of player. You know,
he doesn't give you a second. Yeah, he doesn't give you a second. He works hard. So even if he doesn't score, he works hard. But I also think it's helped when he has a partner up front. At Cork, he played better with a partner, which was Murphy. And I think Hegarty played alongside him for Cove. So it just frees him up a little bit more, I think. He's not a type of striker that really, I mean, he can play the role, but to get the best out of him, it's someone close to him, in my opinion.
Yeah. In terms of results, I take a 1-0, but I think it'd be probably a 2-1 for Bray. I think Cove will score because Bray's defence, they are starting to come together. You know, they're getting used to each other. Jack Hudson played with Hugh Douglas the other night. The only thing with Bray's defence is, Keith, our first game we have McGuinness in goal. Second and third we have Michael Kelly, and then McGuinness started again the other night. So you're trying to blend in, and when you have different players, Danny Blackburn didn't play right back the other night. It was Dean Zambra. So they need a foundation there, and they need to keep the same back four, same back five. So I'll go for a 2-1 win Bray here.
Yeah, I'll go for 1-1. I think Cove might get a point here. Finally, then Wexford and Longford, and Longford be praying this goes ahead. It'll be first time this season they would have played like 2 games on the bounce, if you like, in the space of a week. And you know, Wexford are a confident side at the moment, 6 points in the league. I was talking about Waterford earlier and how they conceded goals. Wexford would feel like they should have scored more than 1 goal against them as well when they played them last. So that's another thing to highlight with Waterford. But yeah, I mean, Carrick Park, not an easy place to go to. They'll be up for this. The crowds are up at Wexford. Ian Ryan was giving them credit, I think, the other day as well, wasn't he? So, but Longford need to get a win quickly, don't they? I know, you know, they've only had a few games, but you know, the longer you go without a win, the more difficult it is, isn't it?
Absolutely, and you could, even though there was only 150 people at the game the other night, you could hear that the crowd were getting itchy. The 81st minute, I think Gary Cronin made his first substitution. Now, that's nothing new for Gary Cronin. Even when he was with Bray, even if the game was going against him, he still waited and waited and waited till he made his final change or his first change.
To be fair to him, the key, to be fair to him, and I suppose to be fair to Longford in many ways, is that they did create chances. So if you're on the sideline, you're watching your team say create chance after chance. I'm nervous to make a change. I kind of think it's actually working. It's just we're not putting the ball in the net. So what do we do? Like, you know, that kind of way. So there's an element of you don't want to make change for the sake of making changes. And like, I don't think the Longford fans could complain too much about the actual effort and application of the players, you know?
Yeah. No, the application was fine. As you said, they created chances, you know. Do you substitute, like Sam Verdon scored the opener? Would you take him off to put someone else on up top? Like, probably not, because he scored the opener. On this game, Wexford, very Carrick Park, as you mentioned, they're going well at 6 points, and they should have got something from the Waterford game last week. So I would probably go for a draw here. I'm more edging towards a Wexford win. Given the way I viewed that game against Waterford, I'm going to go for a 2-1 Wexford win here.
I'm going to go for a Wexford win as well. I like that combination up top they have, particularly with Dobbs and Corcoran, because Dobbs can do a lot of the donkey work really and run the channels and stuff. He's got the energy in that, where Danny Corcoran can focus on basically trying to hold the ball and get into areas and finish, basically, because there's no better finisher probably in the first division. And he's starting the season fit, which is great to see as well. So I like the combination up front. And I think Longford might struggle against that. So I think Wexford will win this as well. Look, guys, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit your bell notification button. Like the video if you like the content. Let us know what you think in the comments about the games that went on previously at the weekend, and maybe throw in a few predictions for Friday, all the games of Friday. And happy Paddy's weekend. Keith, thanks for coming on.
Cheers, Keith. Take care.